Today's one of those days when you realize shit's not just bad. Shit has the potential of getting really bad really fast. Today I'm going to talk about rates, water, and population. I'd like to give a shout out to Fuck Off Coffee. It's like that. Just Google that. They're not paying me. Just the cup makes me happy. They're in Aurora, and you can order these online. All right, let's get to it. The Fed held rates, and the Bank of England held rates. And people are starting to ask questions. One of the wonderful bits of social media is that information gets around and people start asking questions like, hang on a second, is stagflation even possible? Stagflation is when you have inflation and a stagnant economy. You have inflation because there's price pressure, and you have a stagnant economy because the rates are too high. But if rates control price growth, how did you get the inflation? Look, we know this from COVID and post-COVID and the 2022 crisis. When prices go up, there's lots of profits to be made. When these profits are being made, those companies want a safe haven for their money, so they buy government bonds, and the governments compete with each other on who has the tastiest bonds. Now, currently, the United States still has reserve currency status. They still have safe haven status when it comes to bonds and so on and so forth, but that's starting to wane a little bit, because if rates stay too high for too long, it slows the economy down too much, and nobody benefits. Speaking of nobody benefiting, Canada's population numbers came out yesterday. Those of you who've been following me for a long time know that I've been very critical of Canada's immigration policies over the last few years. They've been excessive. They've been putting strain on our systems. But now we've changed course, and I'm still critical because we've gone from way too much, way too rapidly to nothing. Literally to nothing. I watch this all the time. That's about the same as it was a year ago. Yeah, it's not just zero growth this quarter. It's almost no growth for a year. I'm always watching the real-time population clock. Last summer, we were around this number, maybe about 100,000 people less, and we were on our way to 42 million by December. And obviously, we haven't hit that because we've changed course. I know. There are many people out there still talking about our immigration problem as if it's happening right now, but it's not. We have a different problem happening now. In the first quarter, the net immigration, 20,000 people. We're almost at the same level as COVID. Remember how yesterday I was talking about the employment levels are almost the same as COVID? Yeah, now our immigration levels are almost the same as COVID. So we're essentially, by the numbers, we're in a crisis. Why should you care? These people are making things more expensive for you and me. Everything's more expensive. Housing is more expensive. Food is more expensive, etc., 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 except this is the reason you have a job. Shit gets real expensive if you don't have any money. I always say it, the employees of one business are the customers of another business. If you have fewer people employed, you're going to have less business happening. We've already got a slowdown in the economy because of higher rates. This slows down the economy even more, and it becomes a vicious cycle. The more downward stresses you have, like lower immigration, higher rates, so on and so forth, the more rapidly things slow down. And it gets worse before it gets better. Now, yeah, the floodgates opening, that was bad. But the floodgates closing is also bad. We need to be in here. Hopefully this gets corrected sooner rather than later, and we may have a source for immigration. Persian Gulf states. What am I talking about? Water. That's what. I've mentioned many times with, the climate crisis and what's happening around the world and summer temperatures and so on and so forth. Canada is a destination location because we hold much of the world's fresh water. You can literally live here and not live in other places. A withdrawal rate of more than 100% means that a country is taking more from its existing aquifer, more from its existing sources than is being replenished, which means it has to rely on other sources that are not natural. More than 100%, you say? Oh. Yeah, the Arab nations, they're pulling the water out of the Persian Gulf and desalinating it. So they're freaking out at the moment. Anxiety grips Gulf Arab states over threat of nuclear contamination and reprisals from Iran. Do you remember the Fukushima nuclear disaster? When the Fukushima plant leaked into the ocean? It contaminated the water within hundreds of kilometers of the plant. And right there in Bushehr is the only functioning nuclear power plant that Iran has. You can desalinate the water in the Persian Gulf, but you can't stop it from being radioactive. If that power plant leaks into the Persian Gulf, the Gulf Coast countries have a few days of water in reserve. Oil production would stop. Oil production here would stop. Not slow. It would stop. You thought 2022 was bad? You thought anything that's happened in the last 50 years is bad? Imagine if oil production in the Persian Gulf stopped.